If I asked you right now what causes high blood pressure, what would you say? Most people would answer stress or salt, or maybe being overweight. And those things certainly can contribute, but what if I told you that there's one incredibly common trigger that's raising blood pressure in millions of seniors every single day? Something so ordinary, so much a part of daily life, that most people never even consider it could be affecting their health? What if I told you that this trigger is something you're probably doing multiple times every day? Something that seems completely harmless, but that's quietly and consistently driving your blood pressure up, potentially putting you at risk for heart attack and stroke. I'm not talking about exercise. I'm not talking about an occasional indulgence or a special treat. I'm talking about something that happens in almost every household, something that's become so normalized in our culture that we don't even think twice about it. And yet, study after study has shown that this one thing can cause immediate, measurable spikes in blood pressure, especially in people over 60. And the worst part? Most doctors never mention it. Most people have no idea it's affecting them. And most seniors continue to expose themselves to this trigger day after day, wondering why their blood pressure won't come down despite medication, despite diet changes, despite everything they're trying. Today, I'm going to reveal exactly what this trigger is. I'm going to explain the physiology of why it affects blood pressure so powerfully, especially as we age. I'm going to show you how to identify whether this trigger is affecting you. And most importantly, I'm going to give you practical, actionable strategies to minimize or eliminate this trigger from your life so you can finally get your blood pressure under control and protect your cardiovascular health. Now, before I tell you what this trigger is, I need to be very clear about something. I am not a medical doctor. I am a health educator. I'm not here to diagnose you. I'm not here to tell you to stop taking your blood pressure medication, and I'm not here to replace your healthcare provider. What I am here to do is educate you about factors that affect your blood pressure, factors that many doctors simply don't have time to discuss in a 15-minute appointment. If you have high blood pressure, if you're on medication, please continue working with your doctor. But what I'm about to share with you could be the missing piece of the puzzle, the thing that finally helps you understand why your blood pressure has been so difficult to control. Let me start by asking you a question, and I'd really love to hear from you in the comments. How old are you, and how long have you been dealing with high blood pressure? Are you on medication for it? And have you noticed that your blood pressure seems to spike at certain times, or in certain situations, even when you think you're doing everything right? Go ahead and share in the comments, because understanding your patterns can be really helpful, and I think you'll find that many others share similar experiences. All right, so what is this mysterious trigger that's raising blood pressure in so many older adults? The answer might surprise you, or it might make perfect sense once you think about it. The trigger is screen time. Specifically, extended periods of sitting and staring at screens, whether that's television, computers, tablets, or smartphones. And I know what some of you are thinking. That's it? Screen time? That seems too simple. How could watching TV or checking email raise my blood pressure? But stay with me, because the connection between screen time and blood pressure, especially in seniors, is profound, well-documented, and largely ignored in mainstream health conversations. And once you understand the mechanisms, once you see how screen time affects your nervous system, your stress hormones, your posture, your sleep, and your overall physiology, you'll understand why this is such a critical issue. Let's start with the most direct mechanism. When you sit and stare at a screen, especially when you're watching something engaging or emotionally stimulating, your body goes into a state of heightened arousal. Your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight response, becomes activated. Your heart rate increases, your blood vessels constrict. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are released, and your blood pressure rises. This happens even if you don't consciously feel stressed. The visual stimulation, the rapid scene changes, the emotional content, the bright light, all of these things stimulate your nervous system and trigger a stress response. Now, if this only happened for a few minutes, it wouldn't be a big deal. Your body could handle that. The problem is that most people, especially seniors, are spending hours every day in front of screens. Hours of that heightened sympathetic nervous system activation. Hours of elevated stress hormones. Hours of increased heart rate and constricted blood vessels. And all of that adds up to chronically elevated blood pressure. Research has shown that for every additional hour of screen time per day, blood pressure increases measurably. One study found that people who watched more than 4 hours of television per day had significantly higher blood pressure than those who watched less than 2 hours, even after controlling for other factors like diet, exercise, and body weight. Another study found that blood pressure spikes can occur within just 30 minutes of screen exposure, and those spikes can persist for hours afterward. But it's not just the direct nervous system stimulation. There are multiple interconnected mechanisms through which screen time raises blood pressure. Let me walk you through them. First, there's the physical inactivity. When you're sitting in front of a screen, you're not moving. Your muscles are inactive, your circulation slows down, your metabolism drops. And prolonged sitting has been shown in countless studies to be an independent risk factor for high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease. The human body is designed to move. When we sit still for extended periods, our cardiovascular system doesn't function optimally, and blood pressure tends to rise. Second, there's posture. Most people sit in a slouched or hunched position when they're watching screens, especially if they're looking at a phone or tablet. This poor posture can actually affect blood flow and put pressure on blood vessels, contributing to elevated blood pressure. Additionally, poor posture affects breathing. When you're hunched forward, you can't take full, deep breaths. Your breathing becomes shallow. And shallow breathing activates the sympathetic nervous system and raises blood pressure. Third, there's the content. What you're watching or reading on screens matters tremendously. If you're watching the news, which is overwhelmingly negative and often designed to provoke fear and anxiety, you're flooding your body with stress hormones. If you're watching violent or intense programming, same thing. If you're scrolling through social media and comparing yourself to others or reading upsetting comments, same thing. Even if you think you're just passively consuming this content, your body is having a physiological reaction. Your nervous system can't distinguish between a real threat and a perceived threat on a screen. It responds to both by raising your blood pressure. Fourth, there's the blue light exposure. Screens emit blue light, which suppresses the production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. When you're exposed to blue light in the evening, especially in the hours before bed, it disrupts your circadian rhythms and makes it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. And poor sleep is one of the most significant contributors to high blood pressure. When you're not sleeping well, your body can't properly regulate blood pressure, and you end up with sustained elevation throughout the day and night. Fifth, there's the displacement effect. Time spent in front of screens is time not spent doing other things that would lower blood pressure. It's time not spent walking, gardening, having face-to-face conversations with friends, being in nature, or engaging in calming activities. Every hour you spend watching TV or scrolling on your phone is an hour you could have spent doing something that actually supports your cardiovascular health. Now, Let me tell you about a woman I worked with named Barbara. Barbara was 74 years old, and she'd been on blood pressure medication for about 15 years. Despite taking her medication faithfully, her blood pressure readings were consistently higher than they should be, averaging around 145/90. Her doctor had increased her medication dosage multiple times, but it didn't seem to make much difference. Barbara was frustrated and worried. She was eating a relatively healthy diet, she wasn't significantly overweight, and she couldn't understand why her blood pressure wouldn't come down. When I asked Barbara about her daily routine, a pattern emerged. She would wake up, have breakfast, and then sit down to watch the morning news for an hour or two. Then she'd do a few chores around the house, have lunch, and settle in to watch her favorite daytime programs. In the late afternoon, she'd watch more news. After dinner, she'd watch TV for the rest of the evening until bedtime. When I added it up, Barbara was spending somewhere between 6 and 8 hours a day in front of the television. On top of that, she had recently gotten a tablet and was spending another hour or two checking email and browsing the internet. I suggested to Barbara that we try an experiment. For 2 weeks, she would drastically reduce her screen time. We set a goal of no more than 2 hours of television per day and no screens at all after 7 p.m. To fill the time, she would go for a walk every morning and afternoon. She'd work in her garden, she'd call friends on the phone, she'd read books, and she'd do some gentle stretching in the evening. She was skeptical that this would make any difference, but she agreed to try. After just 1 week, Barbara called me, excited. She'd been checking her blood pressure at home, and it was noticeably lower. Instead of 145/90, she was consistently seeing readings around 135/85. Still not perfect, but a significant improvement. After 2 weeks, her readings were even better. And after a month of maintaining lower screen time and staying more active, Barbara's blood pressure had stabilized around 125/80, which was the best it had been in years. Her doctor was amazed and actually reduced her medication dosage slightly. Barbara told me that she felt better overall. She was sleeping better, she had more energy, she felt less anxious, and she was enjoying life more. She said, "I had no idea how much that TV was affecting me. I thought I was just relaxing, but my body was anything but relaxed." And this is exactly what I see time and time again. People think that sitting in front of the TV is relaxing, but physiologically, it's often doing the opposite. It's activating your stress response, it's raising your blood pressure, it's disrupting your sleep, and it's keeping you sedentary when your body needs to move. Let me ask you another question, and please share in the comments. How much time do you spend in front of screens each day? Include television, computers, tablets, and smartphones. Really add it up. And have you noticed any correlation between your screen time and how you feel, either physically or emotionally? I think you might be surprised when you actually calculate your total screen exposure. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not saying you can never watch television or use screens. I'm not saying all screen time is equally harmful. And I'm not suggesting that screen time is the only factor affecting your blood pressure. But what I am saying is that excessive screen time, which is the reality for most seniors today, is a significant and often overlooked contributor to high blood pressure. And reducing screen time, especially in combination with other healthy lifestyle changes, can have a powerful impact on blood pressure control. So, what should you do about it? Let me give you some practical strategies. First, become aware of your screen time. For 3 or 4 days, keep a log. Write down every time you watch TV, use a computer, look at your phone or tablet, and for how long. Most people are shocked when they see the total. Once you have that awareness, you can start to make changes. Second, set limits. Decide on a reasonable amount of screen time per day and stick to it. For most people, I recommend no more than 2 hours of recreational screen time per day. That might sound difficult if you're currently watching 5 or 6 hours of TV daily, but remember, this is about your health. This is about your blood pressure, your heart, your brain, your longevity. Is a few extra hours of television worth risking a heart attack or stroke? Third, be strategic about what you watch. If you're going to spend time in front of a screen, make it count. Choose programming that's uplifting, educational, calming, or genuinely entertaining to you. Avoid the news, especially the 24-hour news cycle that's designed to keep you anxious and glued to the screen. Avoid violent or disturbing content. If something makes you feel stressed, angry, or upset, turn it off. Your blood pressure is more important than staying informed about every terrible thing happening in the world. Fourth, implement screen-free zones and times. Make your bedroom a screen-free zone. No TV in the bedroom, no checking your phone in bed. This will dramatically improve your sleep quality. Also, make the hour before bedtime screen-free. Use that time for calming activities like reading a physical book, taking a bath, doing gentle stretches, or talking with family. And consider making mealtimes screen-free as well. Eat your meals at the table without the TV on, paying attention to your food and your body. Fifth, replace screen time with movement. Every time you feel the urge to turn on the TV or scroll on your phone, ask yourself, could I go for a walk instead? Could I do some stretching? Could I work in the garden? Even just standing up and moving around the house for 5 or 10 minutes is better than sitting in front of a screen. And if you do watch TV, don't sit still the whole time. Stand up during commercials. Do some simple exercises while you watch. March in place, do arm circles, do some gentle stretches. Keep your body moving. Sixth, improve your posture if you are using screens. Sit up straight, keep your shoulders back. Position the screen at eye level so you're not looking down or craning your neck. And remember to blink frequently and look away from the screen every few minutes to rest your eyes. Seventh, use blue light blocking strategies in the evening. If you must use screens in the evening, consider blue light blocking glasses or use the blue light filter settings that most devices now have. This can help minimize the disruption to your sleep. Eighth, and this is important, replace screen-based social connection with real, in-person interaction. Many seniors use screens to stay connected with family and friends, and that has value. But screen-based interaction is not the same as face-to-face connection. Your body responds differently. Actual human presence, actual eye contact, actual physical proximity, these things lower stress hormones and blood pressure in a way that video calls and text messages simply cannot replicate. So make an effort to see people in person whenever possible. Now, I want to talk about the psychological aspect of reducing screen time, because I know for many people, especially those who live alone or who are dealing with mobility issues, the TV is a companion. It fills the silence, it provides a sense of connection, and the thought of drastically reducing screen time can feel scary or lonely. If that's you, I want you to know that I understand. But I also want you to understand that there are other ways to fill that time, ways that will actually nourish you rather than harm you. You could listen to audiobooks or podcasts. You could listen to music and let yourself really experience it. Maybe even sing along or dance a little. You could call a friend or family member on the phone and have a real conversation. You could join a club or group, whether that's a book club, a walking group, a church group, or any other community activity. You could volunteer. You could learn a new skill or hobby. You could spend time in nature. You could pray or meditate. All of these activities will serve you so much better than hours in front of a screen. They'll lower your blood pressure instead of raising it. They'll energize you instead of leaving you feeling drained. They'll enrich your life instead of just passing the time. Let me share some research with you to underscore how important this is. A study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that reducing sedentary time, particularly screen-based sedentary time, was associated with significant reductions in blood pressure. Another study found that people who watched more than 4 hours of TV per day had a 46% higher risk of developing high blood pressure compared to those who watched less than 1 hour per day. Yet another study found that even in people who were already exercising regularly, excessive screen time still raised blood pressure, suggesting that you can't just exercise your way out of the negative effects of too much screen time. The mechanisms make sense. When you sit for hours, your blood pools in your lower extremities. Your blood vessels become less responsive. Your body's ability to regulate blood sugar and blood pressure deteriorates. Inflammation increases, and the sympathetic nervous system stays activated. I also want to mention something that particularly affects seniors, and that's the emotional impact of certain types of screen content. As we age, we can become more sensitive to negative or frightening information. The constant barrage of bad news, political conflict, crime stories, and disaster reports can create chronic anxiety and fear. And that chronic anxiety directly raises blood pressure. Your body responds to psychological stress the same way it responds to physical danger. It prepares to fight or flee. And that means elevated heart rate, constricted blood vessels, and high blood pressure. So please be very selective about what you allow into your mind through screens. Protect your peace, protect your nervous system, guard your mental and emotional well-being. You have the power to choose what you watch and how much time you spend watching it. Let me ask you one more question, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you were to cut your screen time in half starting today, what would you do with that extra time? What activities would bring you joy, peace, or fulfillment? Think about it and share. Because I think articulating those alternatives can help you actually make the change. Now, I want to address something important. Some people will resist this message. They'll think, I've been watching TV all my life and I'm fine. Or, I'm old, I deserve to relax and enjoy my shows. And listen, I'm not here to judge anyone's choices, but I am here to give you information. And the information is clear. Excessive screen time raises blood pressure, disrupts sleep, increases sedentary behavior, and contributes to a host of health problems, especially in older adults. What you do with that information is up to you. But I would ask you to consider this. If there's a chance, even a good chance, that reducing your screen time could lower your blood pressure, improve your sleep, give you more energy, and reduce your risk of heart attack and stroke, isn't it worth trying? What's the worst that could happen? You might be a little bored for a few days while you adjust. Compare that to the alternative, which is continuing down a path that could lead to serious cardiovascular events. I also want to address the issue of blood pressure medication. Some people think, well, I'm on medication, so it doesn't matter what I do. But that's not how it works. Blood pressure medication helps, absolutely. But lifestyle factors still matter tremendously. In fact, lifestyle factors often determine whether medication works effectively or whether you need higher and higher doses, with more and more side effects. If you can lower your blood pressure through lifestyle changes, you may be able to reduce your medication or possibly even eliminate it under your doctor's supervision. Wouldn't that be a better outcome? Let me share some additional strategies that can help lower blood pressure in combination with reducing screen time. These work synergistically, meaning they enhance each other's effects. First, walking. This is the single best exercise for seniors with high blood pressure. It's gentle, it's accessible, it improves circulation, it lowers stress, and it's been proven in countless studies to reduce blood pressure. Aim for at least 30 minutes a day, even if you break it into 3 10-minute walks. Second, deep breathing. I mentioned this in previous videos, but it bears repeating. Slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system and directly lowers blood pressure. Just 10 minutes of deep breathing practice each day can make a measurable difference. Third, reduce salt intake. I know I've talked about this before, but it's crucial. Most seniors consume far too much sodium, and it directly raises blood pressure. Cook at home with fresh ingredients, avoid processed foods, and taste your food before adding salt. Fourth, increase potassium intake. Potassium helps balance sodium and supports healthy blood pressure. Good sources include bananas, sweet potatoes, avocados, leafy greens, and beans. Check with your doctor if you have kidney disease, as potassium needs to be monitored in that case. Fifth, manage stress through activities like prayer, meditation, spending time in nature, or engaging in hobbies you enjoy. Chronic stress is a major driver of high blood pressure, and finding healthy ways to manage it is essential. Sixth, prioritize sleep. Get 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night. Create a cool, dark, quiet sleep environment. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. And remember, reducing screen time, especially in the evening, will dramatically improve your sleep. Seventh, maintain social connections. Loneliness and social isolation are associated with higher blood pressure. Make an effort to see friends and family regularly, join groups or clubs, and engage with your community. Now, before we finish, I want you to understand something important. Making these changes isn't about perfection, it's about progress. If you're currently watching 6 hours of TV a day, you don't have to drop to 0 tomorrow. Start by reducing to 5 hours, then 4, then 3. Make gradual changes that you can sustain and celebrate each improvement, no matter how small. And remember, you're not just doing this for your blood pressure numbers. You're doing this for your quality of life. You're doing this so you can have more energy, better sleep, clearer thinking, and more years to enjoy with your loved ones. You're doing this so you can maintain your independence and not end up disabled by a stroke or heart attack. The stakes are real, but so is your power to change the outcome. If you found this information valuable, if you learned something today that could help you or someone you care about, please share this video. Share it with your friends, your family, anyone you know who has high blood pressure or who might be spending too much time in front of screens. This is information that could literally save lives, and the more people who know about it, the better. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We're dedicated to providing practical health education for seniors, information that's often overlooked or not discussed by the mainstream medical system. Every subscription helps us reach more people with this critical information. If you have questions, if you'd like to share your own experience with screen time and blood pressure, or if there's a specific health topic you'd like me to cover in a future video, please leave a comment. I read every comment, and your feedback helps shape the content I create. All right, let's summarize the key points from today. The one common trigger that raises blood pressure in older adults is excessive screen time. This includes television, computers, tablets, and smartphones. Screen time raises blood pressure through multiple mechanisms. It activates the sympathetic nervous system and triggers the release of stress hormones. It keeps you sedentary when your body needs movement. It encourages poor posture, which affects circulation and breathing. The content you consume, especially news and violent or disturbing programming, creates psychological stress that raises blood pressure. Blue light exposure disrupts sleep, which is critical for blood pressure regulation, and screen time displaces other activities that would actually lower blood pressure. The solution is to become aware of your screen time, set reasonable limits, ideally no more than 2 hours of recreational screen time per day. Be strategic about what you watch and avoid content that creates stress or anxiety. Implement screen-free zones and times, especially in the bedroom and before bed. Replace screen time with movement, real human connection, and activities that nourish you, improve your posture. If you do use screens, use blue light blocking strategies in the evening and combine reduced screen time with other blood pressure. Lowering strategies like walking, deep breathing, reducing salt, managing stress, prioritizing sleep, and maintaining social connections. I want you to know that you have more control over your blood pressure than you may have realized. Yes, genetics play a role. Yes, age plays a role. Yes, sometimes medication is necessary and appropriate. But lifestyle factors, including screen time, play an enormous role. And you have the power to change those factors starting today. You deserve to have healthy blood pressure. You deserve to protect your heart and brain. You deserve to live with vitality and independence for as many years as possible. And making the choice to reduce your screen time and replace it with healthier activities is one of the most powerful steps you can take toward that goal. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for caring about your health, for being open to new information, for being willing to make changes. I know it's not always easy, but I also know you're capable. And I know that your health is worth it. I wish you health, peace, and many good years ahead. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and remember that small, consistent changes can lead to remarkable improvements. Turn off the screen, step outside, take a deep breath, and start living the healthier, fuller life that's waiting for you. I'll see you in the next video.